the more research we do, the more these podcasts we do, the more you expose yourself as an empty, egg-headed moron.
That's a friend speaking right there, Ricky Gervais.
No,
he loves you like a brother.
I just think, you've mentioned him before, Steve, this Pepys fella.
Yes.
Has he done anything else apart from a diary? Because now I've done a book and a diary.
That means you're better than Pepys,
well,
is what you're thinking,
well,
isn't it?
I'm not going to say that until I know, but what else did he do?
Well, Pepys wasn't a writer predominantly. I believe he was, like a bureaucrat or something. But he kept a diary which has since become a historical landmark.
And what did he say in it?
What did he say in it? Well, it's again more because it's both well written and it's also an amazing insight
into a social document as well.
Document, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a social document.
I mean, yours is a social document, but it sort of revolves around having egg and chips and a calf and seeing a ladybird, which, you know.
But that's today's living. That's
well, his describes the Great Fire of London, which is what it's most.
Yeah,
it's
but
best
we haven't had
for.
one of them. If we had one, I'd write it down. I'm only writing what's happening. The ladybird happened, right? I wrote it down. He was just lucky. He was about in London when that happened.
So you're a little angered that you've not witnessed one of the great disasters.
Because the thing is, if they read your diary, they'd think, well, nothing happened that year. Nothing important in the world happened that year.
Because your diary doesn't just mention. I mean, okay, yes, it does. It fails to mention any disasters in London because we haven't had any. But it doesn't mention any. It doesn't mention any world events. It doesn't mention wars in Iraq, terrorism. It doesn't mention anything.
But that's all being wrote about anyway. If you're saying there's a museum that's keeping everything, there's loads of other books for that. Who's looking at the fella whose skulls fell off?
What?
We see. It's interesting, isn't it?
What do you mean the fellow whose skulls fell off?
Well, that's what happened the other week, so I wrote about it.
What?
A fella's skull has fell off.
What do you mean his skull has fell off?
It's something to do with circulation.
But what do you mean his skull fell off?
Well, it's in the diary.
But how can a skull fall off? Because it's surrounded by tissue and it's got a brain. How can just his skull? How can it detach itself from all the stuff surrounding it?
He mislaid all his dreams.
But all I'm saying is that's not getting a look in.
No, because it's not significant or probably true.
Good point, Steve.
I don't.
All right. Well, let me just. I'll just consult the diary quickly and find the moment with the man whose skull fell off. Oh, here we are. Yeah. Looks like the world's fattest man is having an operation to get rid of some of the fat. He has to have an iron bed because that's the only thing that can hold his weight. There's also a man whose skull has fell out. He's in hospital somewhere. I hate that. It would make me panic. The hospital is busy with people coming in to look at their head.
What are you talking about there? That tells us nothing. Right, it's impossible for a skull to fall out.
How are scholars in 10,000 years going to be... What are they going to decipher from that?
They can sort of go...
There's not enough incident detail.
But how did his skull fall out?
Circulation problems.
But answer the question. How did his skull fall out? Fall out of what?
He was at home, and I don't know if he was combing his hair or something, but it come off.
What did?
His skull.
What do you mean, his skull? Do you know what the skull is?
It's a part of the head.
Well, no, it's the structure of the head. It's the bone. Do you mean the top of the skull?
This is only useful if you have all the salient facts. Then it would be of interest to us. We could.
Well, I couldn't take that on. I'm busy. I'm not going to start looking into stuff in depth. Just get the details.
God. You're such an idiot. You are the best... idiot in the world.
Well, I don't want to be premature, but that entry is followed by, I injured my toe the other day by dropping the toaster. Instead of letting it hit the floor, I tried to catch it with my foot. I didn't think I'd done any harm, but my nail looks like it could fall off. I might show it to the doctor when I get me kidney stones out. We could easily get by without nails on the feet. They are more trouble than they're worth.
You're so wrong. You're so wrong.
I think on the days when cavemen without shoes and animals need nails, I don't think we need them now. I honestly... Because you hear about ingrowing toenails, right? So that's a problem. You've got to cut them. Stuff gets under there and gets infected. Get rid of them. You won't have any of that. As long as you wear shoes.
No, you'd have unprotected toes and fingers, wouldn't you?
I didn't say on the fingers, just on the toes.
So why do you need them on the fingers and not the toes?
Because you use your hands to do stuff. I've said about toenail out. It'd be good to have it growing on the head.
What?
Just having like a sheet of it, just like a nail on the forehead. You wouldn't look weird because we'd all have it. I'm not saying.
What are you talking about now?
I'm just saying I don't want to go on about evolution and stuff because we've done it all.
What do you think the skull is for?
No, but I mean on the outside, so that when you bang your head, it's a little bit more protection. Like people. I mean, you're looking at me like that. Why do you wear a helmet on a bike then?
Because the bike wasn't meant to be invented. We weren't meant to whiz along at 70 miles an hour with evolution.
I know, but because life's changing, like you've said.
But you can't go, let's evolve, let's re-evolve.
Okay, let's assume we've got this nail on our head that's growing out of our forehead.
So we look like one big thumb.
Yeah. Which weirdly, Carl kind of, I mean, you can almost imagine it looking at Carl now. You can imagine a big nail there. Does the nail continue to grow? Do we have to trim the head nail?
Yeah, in the same way you get a haircut.
Why is that preferable in your mind to just wearing a crash helmet in instances where you might have something hit your head?
Just because, for a start, helmets, you have to carry them around with you. That's one thing that's put me off having a motorbike. Whenever you see someone on a motorbike, it's all like the clothes they've got to wear. And it's like a big upheaval, isn't it? It's you know, if you have a car, you can get in with your shorts on, your flip-flops on. A motorbike, it's like you're an astronaut or something, and you're only nipping down the road for some milk. Do you know what I mean? So, what I'm saying is get rid
But does it annoy you having to put shoes on every day, and underpants, and a vest, and I don't know.
No, but once they're on, I'm not carrying them. They're on me. If I had to then take the shorts off for whatever reason and walk around holding them, I'd go, I can't be bothered. I don't like holding a bag. I don't like bags. We carry too much around with us now. I don't like carrying stuff. It's just a hassle, isn't it?
It's just endless things he doesn't want to do, doesn't like doing, isn't like carrying bags. Who the hell has a gripe about carrying bags? Why is that a concern?
Because it's stuff that's on you.
I love the way that he wouldn't mind having a nail growing out of his fucking head, but he doesn't want to carry a bag.
What's good with it is, everybody's got one of these.
But it's not going to happen, Carl.
And the most important thing in your body, apart from the heart, is your brain. So protect that, not the toes. The toes we can get by without the toes.
People.
But your head's important, isn't it? There's a lot of stuff in your head. And I know all this just after seeing the Bodyworks thing. I went to see it's a show on where there's a load of like dead bodies and that. And you can see how much stuff's in the body. And there's loads of stuff. There's nothing in there that you don't need. It's all doing stuff. Everything in your body.
We've been telling you that for years.
But you reckon you don't need the toenails?
Yeah, that's on the outside. I'm saying everything that's on the inside of your body. Right?
You don't need the appendix.
No, but doesn't that depend on what lifestyle you have?
Well, it's a hangover of when we probably ate a lot more cellulose, and it's.
Yeah, well, they might come back. Things are always coming back, aren't they? So if people start eating them again.
What about male nipples?
Sort of looks all right though, doesn't it? Because the chest is quite plain, so with nothing on it, you'd go, oh, what's this? It just balances it out. I think it looks all right. I think it works. So leave it. But what were we talking about?
But wouldn't you rather have maybe a little like a rib cage around the testicles? Because you get a whack in them and it
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Not an invention, Carl. It's not an invention, and we can't do it. But
will you be able to sit down still? Because that's the good thing with them at the moment is movement. So it sort of works. But don't they say, they said something about testicles, the Bodyworks thing.
Well, they're on the outside.
Put yours away, Carl. You're not one of the exhibits.
They're on the outside because they have to be a few degrees below body temperature for the Sertoli cells to
So that's an odd design. That they had to go there because it is it's a bit of an odd place to have them.
Where would you suggest? Dangling from the throat?
Sort of.
I want to redesign you, right? You can possibly do this now. This is something you can actually do, probably. You could probably have your testicles anywhere. So where would you want them?
You've got a giant forehead nail.
Yeah. You could have that. It probably wouldn't grow, but we could certainly have that.
I just mean like, because if all it's about is temperature, you don't want to get them too hot.
Yeah.
Well, they're getting hot down there because you're wearing pants and what have you. So have them nearer to the outside of the body.
Well, they are on the outside of the body.
No, but we wear pants over them.
So you wear pants over them because they're testicles, and polite society suggests that you don't show your testicles.
Yeah, but that's the odd thing, isn't it? That's what's happened somehow. That we've said testicles shouldn't be seen.
Well, then just put a hole in your trousers. If it's only about, keeping them cool, and because they're too hot, why don't you just hang them out your shorts?
Because there's too many sort of seats that are shared these days, isn't there? But what I'm saying is...
Well, what are you saying?
Where would you put them?
Somewhere like, sort of under the ears. So it sort of just looks like lobes.
So you would redesign your body to have a pair of testicles hanging from your ears?
And when people are sometimes talking, they do sort of mess with their ears, and they're always saying check for lumps. More handy.
Does the penis remain where it is at the
Leave
moment?
that where it is. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about you, Rick, but I would love to see, perhaps on the web, it's very easy to put stuff on web pages now, some kind of illustration, it could be computer generated, could be drawn by hand, of the new model Carl. Bear in mind, people, that he's got some testicles underneath his ears.
And a big thumbnail on his forehead.
Big thumbnail on his forehead.
Talking to Carl, I want to see Carl's head everywhere. It's the roundness that I like, okay? So do a viral campaign. Anyone out there with a picture of Carl, just get it everywhere. Because I want eventually everyone to, as they walk past him in the street, to shout, "You shaved monkey," or "Look at that bald head," or "Look at fucking coconut face coming this way. You got a head like a fucking orange."
Went out the other night with the lads. There's a few of us, young, free and single.
Must look like the Swingers.
Oh, it was pretty. It looked like a boy band had gone out. It looked like,
really?
It looked like, NSYNC had hit the streets.
Right,
Yeah. We'd dressed up, told up, out for a few drinks. A friend of mine said, let's go to a club. Right, I haven't been to a nightclub for a long time, actually. I haven't been.
Is that because your glasses steam up when you walk in out of the cold?
That is a problem in the winter. It's very difficult to make a good impression as you walk in, your glasses steam up straight away, and you got to take them off and clean them and stuff, and then you get a bit dirty.
On your white fronts, you pull your white fronts up through the jeans, clean them on that,
or the back of a girl's dress. But we cruised down to the club. It's one of those big sort of super clubs, London super clubs. Never been in one of those, the Ministry or any of those things, so it was all new. And it's a bit of a queue. I think it's a bit of a chore. But we're queuing up, we're in good spirits, we're looking at it, it sounds pretty funky, we can hear the music coming out. Been in the queue for quite a while, 25 minutes.
Forget it, 25 minutes.
Well, yeah, we were pretty excited by this point. The doorman says, hello lads. I said, yeah, we're coming please. He went, no you're not.
Really?
What? He said, you're not coming in. And he just immediately lifted the little rope and sent us away from the queue, right? And we were slightly perplexed, we were dumbfounded, we didn't know what to do, it was like, this couldn't be happening, it didn't make sense, so we just queued up what was going on. And so, my friend said, well, we've got to find out why he's not going to let us in. So he goes back over.
I thought you wanted to do. You wanted to tie him up with logic. That'll show a bouncer.
Exactly.
Yeah, show him how educated you are and how you can win an argument and make him look stupid. You'll be in that club in no time.
That's what they appreciate. They love that. Because what they respect is being made to look like a fool.
Exactly.
So we went over and...
They really look up to intellectuals.
Exactly, yeah. So one of our mates goes over and he says, why didn't you let us in? And he went, because you didn't have any girls with you. Now, I'll tell you this. That's kicking you when you're down. Because when you're out on a Saturday night trying to get into a club to meet women, and the reason you're not allowed to go in a club to meet women is because you haven't got any women with you, that's just salt in the wound. It's so humiliating. So, a friend of mine says that there's a VIP entrance over there. And there was like a woman with a clipboard, the guest list, separate entrance. She said, you've got a little bit of profile, Steve. Why don't we try and use your...
You ran home, got your Golden Globe and your Emmy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I always carry, some of my cuttings with me.
Yeah.
And I felt a bit self-conscious about it. I was thinking, I'm not into this, it's a bit awkward. But he said, look, don't worry, you just stand here. Just like you're having a conversation. I'll go over, I'll point him out, I'll go, oh, there's, Steve Merchant over there, at the office or whatever.
Oh, God, Steve!
So I thought, well, the thing is, we were out, and I was a bit frustrated, and I thought, we may as well try everything. So I stand there, my friend goes over, and he has a word, and he comes back, and he says, it's fine. She can't let us in the VIP entrance because she's not allowed, but what she can do is walk us to the front of the queue. Right? You can walk in front of the queue and explain. So I think, okay, fine.
Oh, God.
So the guy a guy takes me and my mates, right, this girl, she takes us, we walk past everyone else, right, to the front of the queue, right? She goes up to the guy, she says, this is Steam Merchant office. The guy goes, I know he is, we're not letting him in.
Oh God! Oh God!
By now, of course, some people have recognised me, so they're trying to have my photo taken. So there's people inside the line that's being allowed in the club. I've got to lean across the rope to have my photo taken with them, even though I'm not allowed in the club. So they go, oh, alright, this is Steve there, and the photo's taken, right, camera phones and that. They're going into the club where the music, the party's kicking off. I'm outside waiting for the next chump who wants to have his photo taken. I mean, it was mental. So,
That's unbelievable.
I was furious, and then one guy, I remember he was trying, and he goes, oh, yeah, brilliant, I love the podcast and all that stuff, I love Carl, is Carl with you? I said, oh, Carl's not here. And his girlfriend was with me, she went, who's that? And he went, oh, it's just Steve Merchant, he does the office, he does the thing, and she went, who cares? Who are you, Bruce Forsyth? And it's that thing when suddenly I'm being humiliated and embarrassed by someone's girlfriend. I never asked for that. I never asked for her opinion on me. I'm sorry if I don't impress you, if I'm not sufficiently famous for you, but it's not my fault. It's your boyfriend who brought it up. It was like I'd gone over to her and tried to show off, and she was annoyed. So by now I was just furious.
Oh,
so
God.
I thought, forget this.
Well, I was walking down the street, and there's a group of builders sitting down having a cup of tea. One of them goes, all right, Rick. I went, all right, mate. The other one went, not as fat as on telly. I went, oh, thanks. Not as fat as on telly. So he went with, well, you are fat, but you look even fatter on telly. He didn't say, oh God, you don't look fat at all, or oh, you look big on telly, but you don't look fat. Just went with, not as fat as on telly. And there's nothing I could say, but cheers, mate.
Now, when you said cheers, mate, did you say that because you were? Because I'd say cheers, mate, because I'd be a little bit scared of them.
No, I was
worried about the
like
repercussions.
sarcasm, and you know, I laughed after. Yeah.
So you can get away with sarcasm with working class blokes.
I'm a little bit more secure with a working class male than you, aren't I?
I'm terrified of them. I feel like they're going to turn on me at any minute.
You don't feel confident sort of backing in a lorry driver?
Terrified.
Oh, right,
Because
okay.
if I did, he'd probably lean out and just go and get your dad, mate.
Yeah, not you.
Fuck off, I'm not interested.
Not you. Yeah.
So the final stab is this guy says, there's a party I know of going on, right? Oh, blinking. So we go down to this party. Right, as we're getting there, as we're about to go in, he goes, now you know it's a singles party. I thought, oh, what? He says, you know it's a singles party. Oh, God. So I go in this party, it's right, it's all single people, right? Now, theoretically, that should be brilliant, right, if you're a singleton yourself. It's the worst kind of party to go to, because when you normally go to a party, right, and you're chatting to a girl, and she says, oh, I got to go get a drink or whatever, you think, oh, she's probably got a boyfriend or whatever, or she's with mates, that's fair enough. But when you're at a singles party, and a woman says, I'm just going to go and get a drink, and then you just see her leaving, you realise it's not because she's got a boyfriend or whatever, it's just because she doesn't want to talk to you.
You can't even kid yourself.
You can't even pretend.
Oh,
and you
dear.
suddenly sense everyone judging everyone else. So you see a girl and she'll like look at you up and down, and then ignore you and walk on. And it's like a massive slap in the face. It's like girls coming up to you and going, not interested. Just by being there, they don't have to say anything and they're rejecting you. And so, anyway, one of my friends has been reading this book, The Game, right, by this guy called Neil Strauss, which is sweeping a certain part of the population because it is one of those books written on how to meet women and seduce women, right? And there's this guy called Neil Strauss who infiltrated a sort of secret organisation in America of blokes who've got all these various seducing techniques, right? And one of the techniques which we've been discussing is something called negging, where if you see a very attractive woman, the theory is that she's getting asked out all the time by blokes, right? They're always coming up and saying, oh, you're really beautiful, can I buy you a drink? And that what you have to do to set yourself away from the pack is to sort of not be so obviously complimentary. So you come up and you almost sort of pay her a backhanded compliment, or you almost neg, as they say something slightly negative. So what you might say is you might go up to her and say, oh, I like your shoes, I've seen another girl wearing them in the club, right? And the theory is that she's sort of, she's a bit taken aback, she's a bit sort of thrown off, and then of course you start complimenting her, and you start building her back up again. It's very elaborate mind games. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but we've been talking about the neg, and I was chatting to a girl, and I was a little bit drunk, and I wasn't thinking it through, and I thought about the neg because it wasn't going very well, but I don't think you should say to a girl, I think your ears are a bit too big for your head, because you know what I mean, it's like you can't come back from that. And there's nowhere else to go, because that really is just an insult.
isn't it? Down the little fucking car, down the little fucking car.
That jingle, of course, signifying yet another reading from Karl Pilkington's diary. As always, packed with rich insight into the man's mind. Had a late night last night because I stayed up to watch a programme about monkeys.
It's already good.
Of course you did.
It's already good.
Now, before I read on, I mean, is this not some kind of monkey news? Is this not a late return to monkey news?
Well, it's not that good.
Is it not? Whereas the other monkey news is...
Oh, chimpanzee, that's some more shit.
This is what he says. This is what he gleaned from the programme about monkeys. It sat on a bridge and wanted stuff off people to walk over the bridge.
What?
So it was acting as some kind of toll booth,
This
was
is
it?
No,
ridiculous.
it was a bridge in like the jungle.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
And it's a monkey that sat on a bridge, and a lot of tourists go through the area.
No, it's a monkey
to look at them.
who realised that if he sits there, he'll get stuff because it look like it's a cute little chimp begging.
No, but every time.
Yeah, because you give a monkey, you give it. Oh, I'm as bad as him now. If you give a chimpanzee a banana, and he starts realising that humans have things to give.
Yeah, but it's all
squirrels
sorts of
learn
stuff.
that. But you don't go. Oh, you wouldn't say, "Oh, went to the park. The squirrels waiting at the gate." You have to give them a toll to go in. They're only going to give them nuts. They come up to you every time. You fucking idiot.
Went to bed after watching it and fell asleep thinking about it on the bridge right now. It's a bit bad, really, because the monkey should work harder for its food. It made me remember the slug I saw yesterday that was eating bird poo. Nobody would ever help a slug with food like they do with ducks and monkeys. A slug's life is pretty bad. The only time they come out of their den is when it's raining.
Den.
So even their days out are depressing.
It is. Do you know what I mean?
No.
It is like, it's a horrible thing to be in it. A slug.
Love him talking about what is it like to be a slug.
No, just because like the monkey, even though it was being quite aggressive, everyone was like, "Oh, give it some water," and it was well like kitted out. It had like chocolate bars, bottled water, some like fizzy stuff, and all that.
An iPod. It was listening to Monkey News.
It could have had one if it wanted one. It was getting away with murder on that bridge, and that's just because it was furry. Yeah, if that was like a blob, like a slug, there's no way people would be that friendly towards it, and it just annoys me how you get this pecking order. For like, no matter what creature you are, favouritism. And that slug was only eating that bird poo because it wasn't being offered stuff.
If it was offered toffees or whatever.
Well, it's just sad, isn't it? It's come to that. That's what its life has come to.
Yeah, but it's not. As
was
mollusk
raining, like I
was
said.
down on its fucking luck.
He didn't live in a big country house
No,
and his
but it
wife
is.
left it, the
I
kids went and started hitting the
watching
ball.
it, and I kind of thought, and look, they do only come out in the rain, and it's depressing, and it'll probably get killed in a bit, and that was its last meal. I just...
Last meal.
But it wouldn't prefer steak and chips, Carl. It doesn't
a leaf.
have...
It must like a leaf or, at the end of the day, it's an insect. They love a
It's
leaf.
not an insect.
Well, it's part of that gang. It's part of that... No, it's part
They
of that...
hang out together. They hang out
It's not.
together.
Why do you think it's part of that
Because
gang?
it knocks about in the woods in the same place as a spider does. But what I'm saying is they're eating boring stuff because that is what's
It's
in
not
their
boring
area.
stuff to them. They're not. I have no opinion of it at all. They take in sustenance.
No, but where you are is what you eat. When I'm in London, I'll have beans on toast for lunch. On holiday, what? Tapas? Go on, I'll have a bit. So it's whatever you eat, what's in that area.
Suzanne went off to work and I went to the shop to buy some envelopes. The shop was empty, but the fella behind the counter was on the phone and just kept talking even though he could see I was waiting. I started to count backwards from 20. When I got to 6, he hung up and served me. I won't use the shop again. Question, why count backwards from 20?
So he's thinking, what's going to happen at 1? If I start counting from 1, he's going, well, let him carry on.
What, out loud?
So not really loud, but like more of a mouth action, so he could see who was doing it. You know, like
Sorry, you just started miming counting backwards to a man in a shop.
He's on the phone. The
Yes.
shop is empty. I
Yes.
thought he'd like me custom. He could have served me and stay on the phone. Even though I don't like that, at least he's still doing what he needs to do.
I'd have said,
working the
sorry,
shop.
can I just get these, please?
Yeah. Well, I stood there and I thought, it's annoying me now, my kidneys aching, and I started to get a bit of a sweat on. So I thought, right, I'm going to give him 20 seconds, and if he hasn't got off the phone, I'm leaving. And when I got to about 6, he served me. What's wrong with that? Again,
You are
giving
one
yourself...
of the strangest people.
It's just giving yourself a thing. I could have been stood there for
Free.
ages.
He's one of the strangest people who's free to walk
It's
the
about...
streets.
No, I set myself a little target, and I thought, I don't want to waste another 30 seconds in here, I'll give him 20. It worked. He served me at 6.
But it didn't work. Yeah, but did he do it because you were doing that, or did he finish his phone call?
I don't know, I was busy counting.
Looked at what's been going on in the world. There was a human head attached to a seagull's body in a jar.
Is that all it says?
This is the sort of weird stuff that goes on behind surgery doors. I doubt it ever flew because the head would have been too heavy.
Well, of course it wasn't. It didn't happen. It wasn't live.
No, but they try this stuff, don't they? That's like that programme I watched with a
Well,
monkey's head
who
on.
has ever tried to put a human head on a seagull's body?
They've done loads of stuff like that. It's part of us moving on, isn't it?
What are you talking about?
I'm not going
Carl?
to get into an argument about
Well,
science
you're
because
wrong.
it's all
Don't
behind
talk
closed doors.
shit.
How do you think we can change a heart now from another body? You have to try things out. It's trial and error. All sorts of weird stuff goes on in hospitals, but we let it happen because it's to help us out in the long run, isn't it?
But what are they aiming towards when they're going to find out if you can put a head on a seagull's body? What is that? What are they want to learn, and how do they want to apply that knowledge? A new heart is obviously for a reason. It saves a life.
Yeah,
What is this to save money on transport? Instead of getting a bus pass, you go, can I put my head on a seagull's body? I go, well, it won't work. Well, try it.
Yeah, but there is odd things like that. Like I saw a fish the other day, right? And honestly, it's the weirdest thing. It was just like a blob with a face. Now I would never have said, yeah, let that swim about. I'd have killed it from day dot. I would have gone, get rid of that.
Oh God! Under what circumstances would you have killed that from day dot?
I'm just saying, looking at it, I'd say that does not work. And it looked sad. It looked like it didn't want to be about.
Have you got her number?
Oh God! Oh God! Well, that's it for another week. The end of episode 5. One more to go in this series of 6 with the Ricky Gervais Show. We'd love you to buy Carl's book because it is genuinely interesting and funny as a you know, just as a social experiment to see that it proved Carl's theory wrong that a monkey can write a book. So it's bye from me, Ricky Gervais. Goodbye from Steve Merchant.
Goodbye.
And goodbye from the little shaven monkey that is Karl Pilkington. Hello and welcome to the last in this series of 6 of the Ricky Gervais Show with me, Ricky Gervais, Steve Merchant.
Hello.
And Karl Pilkington.
Alright.
Carl, as you're aware, you've obviously got many celebrity fans. David Bowie is a fan, people involved with creating The Simpsons. And you've also got a new fan, Warwick Davis, who is the short actor that many people will see in films like Return of the Jedi. He also is in Harry Potter. He's 3'6", and Ricky and I worked with him recently on extras. And far from asking us about the many celebrity names that we've worked with, the only person he was interested in talking about, of course, Mr. K. Pilkington.
He wanted to meet you, Karl.
Yeah. Well, is he all right to get on with?
Why wouldn't he be?
Just because sometimes when people aren't normal, it's just.
Sorry?
No, I just mean when someone, like, I've met a few little people in my time. The one that I met a little fella once, and he was all right. He got drunk really quick, but he was all right. But it took me by surprise, only because, like I've said about when I met Steve for the first time, it's only that same thing. And then if I lived with the little fella, I'm sure we'd get on a storm.
What do you mean when you met
There's
Steve?
a TV show waiting to happen.
What do you mean when you met Steve for the first time?
No, we've done it. When he walked in, it just a bit of he's different. But then I see Steve every week, and the same way I say I like watching Elephant Man, from the first time I watched it to the last, totally different. When he walks in the first time, it's like, oh God, look at that. It's a mess, isn't it? When I watch it again, it's kind of like, oh, here he is, here's John. So it doesn't. Things wear off. That's like the world, isn't it? Things don't amaze you as much as you see things and you use things often. And it's the same with the little fella you're talking about. First time I see him, I'd be a little bit like, oh, what do you say? You know, what shouldn't I say? Whereas once you get to know him, I'm sure he'd be a lovely little fella.
I don't know where to start, Steve.
Well, Warwick, I think, suspected as much. He's offered you an interesting fact, actually. You're wearing headphones now. Apparently you wear those headphones for just 1 hour, and it will multiply the amount of bacteria in your ear by over 700 times.
But why is he worrying about that?
Well, he's not worrying about it. He thinks it's of interest to you because you're wearing headphones. It's part of your profession.
You wear headphones, yeah.
But Warwick asks, really, what are your thoughts on short people, particularly in entertainment? Because, of course, they've, throughout the ages, made an appearance, particularly in fiction. Tom Thumb, of course, the Oompa Loompas.
What do I think of them?
He's just wondering, I suppose, what your take is.
They're all right. I mean, when I was on jury duty, when you go in the morning, you have to go into a big sort of waiting room, and every day I'd sort of see one pop in, and he'd be sort of struggling getting on the chair, and it was kind of something to watch. It was different. That's what's good with things in life. If you look at stuff and you go, oh, look at that, and seeing him struggle on the chair, he was happy. He wasn't struggling in a way that he felt uncomfortable. He'd obviously climbed a lot of chairs in his time, and this was just another one. And watching him, it just makes you think. You go, I should appreciate that I don't have that problem every time I have to sit down and what have you. But I don't think it's that bad. If I had to pick being really tall or really small, I'd go for the really small one because, the world's a more interesting place for him, isn't it? Everything's bigger. Do you know what I mean? We go to New York and go, wow, look at this. And they go and they go, oh dear. Do you know what I mean? Everything's a lot bigger. Everything's more amazing. Food portions. Everything's a bonus. So out of the two, I'd be small, and maybe that's what I'd chat to Warwick about for a bit, just to get to know him.
Brilliant.
It's a shame in a way that he's not been able to pop in. I'd like to hear that conversation.